Hey guys, welcome back. This week we're going to finish the fish wheel. We're going to go scout some spots on the river to put it, and we're going to get this thing fishing by the end of the week. I'm going to get going. I appreciate everyone's input on the last video, and I'm going to make some changes to this thing based upon that. And one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to move this post. Someone had commented and said they think the fish will hit that post when they get shot out, and I was kind of thinking that myself, so just to be safe, I'm going to move that post forward, give us a little more room, and I'm going to start in on that now. Trying to make this thing as light as possible, but I'm doing a pretty good job at making it as heavy as possible with all these different braces I'm putting in here. Okay, I'm going to change the way I mount this just a little bit. I'm going to put a 4x4 post on each side of the round part of the wheel. That's how I'm going to do it. Someone had mentioned making these triangles. I think that's a good idea. Unfortunately, I don't have the length in 4x4 posts to do it and give myself enough height, because this is actually going to come up quite a bit because these baskets are pretty deep, and I don't have a welder. I should have a welder, but you know, the list of things I should have here is pretty long. Most folks would probably laugh at the tools I'm doing this with. I have a 2x2 bin full of just miscellaneous stuff, and we just kind of make do up here. So this is the best I think I can do with it, and I'm kind of in a rush to get this in the water, and I think this will just be the quickest. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So someone had mentioned why the foam, and the short answer to that is because these are most likely going to seep. You know, the plywood I used wasn't the best grade of plywood. It was just stuff I had here. And the sealant I used, it was just liquid nail. It wasn't like a marine grade sealant. So the likelihood of these things seeping water is pretty high. And I don't want to go down there and have the thing sunk. You could put like a sump pump in these and, you know, put a little battery on it. And I've seen folks do that, but it's just a little more elaborate than I want to get into. So the foam's really just insurance that it's not going to be sunk when we go down there. I thought about using airplane floats for this, which was a pretty good idea, but it would have took too much modification, and where I don't have a welder or the ability to weld aluminum, I believe there were aluminum airplane floats, it was just a little more than I wanted to take on. So most folks around here, you'll see just these pontoons, just like I built, filled with spray foam or some form of foam. You probably could use barrels, but the only thing with barrels is when it's assembled on shore, the weight of it will probably crush the barrels down. And then the other thing, the river's current, they're really going to have to be securely mounted in there. I don't want to go down there and have one rip out, and then you'll lose your wheel to the river. So I'm doing it this way basically because that's how all the old timers do it, and usually there's a reason they do things a certain way, and I can kind of see those reasons.
A little more, tiny bit more, a little more.
Looks like the fish won't hit it here, so once we get that one out there, I think that's definitely the way to do that. I'm glad I changed it. One block, it's 3.5 inches. Screw all that in, flip it over, screw that in, top board, carriage bolts. Okay. I am going to break up the rest of this foam I have here. I'm gonna lay it in, and then I got a few things of spray foam, and I'm just gonna fill the rest of it with spray foam, and that's basically that. We'll put our top board on with some carriage bolts. I got those over there, and then we can start setting up our boat winches, which I have in the back of the car, I think. And this thing's turning out way heavier than I had hoped. I made probably 3 different braces trying to kind of figure out how I was gonna mount the wheel, but we're gonna use winches and leverage, and we'll do a good old-fashioned boat launch with it. But it's a big fish wheel. I mean, this is on the bigger side of what people make for fish wheels, so it's gonna work fine.
Alright, well Dennis keeps working away on the wheel. I'm gonna whip up a quick lunch. Just gonna fry some of this body meat in tallow. We scrape all the fillets so you get all that extra meat and nothing goes to waste. And then I'm also gonna throw some of this roe on here and some flatbread.
Wow. Thank you. It's like a salmon taco. I don't want to leave like air pockets, so I want to make sure that that's there, but I don't have enough foam to do the whole thing. I think I'm getting there actually. Cool. We are getting there. Okay, perfect. Look at that. Okay, this thing is coming out really cool. It's about 6 o'clock, so we're gonna run in, have some dinner, and then we're gonna go down to the river and see what spots are available. And I'm also gonna throw the dip net in to see if I can get any fish. Tomorrow, I'll work on the paddles and I'll get this rigging set up, and that's that. Then we can haul it down to the river, and it should be, at the very latest, the end of this week.
So we are just gonna do a quick salmon taco for dinner. I'm gonna grab some fresh lettuce and some cilantro. Do you want lettuce, Lee?
Yes.
That's really good. We've been eating 95% salmon for our protein source for the past few months, and not sick of it yet. Just gotta make it different ways is a trick.
Yeah.
Well, dinner was great. I'm sure glad Amy likes to cook, because eating canned salmon would get old after a while, and that's what I would be making. I'm gonna go grab my net, throw it on the ATV, and we're gonna head down to the river, see what we can do. The fish wheel is going to be a real step up from this net if it works, and we're going to find that out pretty soon. All right, let's go. This spot doesn't look too bad. It's easy to get to. We could commandeer this old camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, this might not be a bad one either.
Blueberries are in down by the river. This is great. I know what I'm gonna be doing while Dennis is working that wheel. I'm gonna be getting our year's supply of berries together. So we have a lot of picking to do, Lean. That's the thing about Alaska. You can put a fish wheel in the water, get your year's supply of fish and protein, and right next to it is a bunch of beautiful wild food. Just wonderful. Really, really lucky. All right, this is a great spot for berries. We're gonna keep going, try to get a fish.
See, the thing about these spots that makes them kind of nice is that, you know, they're easy to get the wheel in. Okay, this is a pretty interesting spot. Everyone says you can't catch fish here with a dip net. I'm willing to give it a try anyway. There was a few really good spots for a fish wheel on the way in. The only trouble is the trail is really overgrown, and a lot of it's really muddy. I get the feeling I'm going to spend a lot of time with the chainsaw, winching myself out, but we're going to get it in here regardless.
Caterpillars all over.
What do you think, Lane?
Think we're gonna get a fish?
I'm not so sure. The run is pretty thin up here because a lot of the fish that are coming up the Copper River already go off their tributaries where they're going to spawn well before they get to this point. The other thing about it, the main branch to the Copper is actually on the other side of, that's actually an island across here. So the main branch of the Copper is over there, and this is actually like a little shoot off it, but the Copper here is very spidery. There's another spot down the other end where you can get on the main branch of the Copper with your fish wheel, but the trouble is it's down a steep muddy bank, and I just don't have the equipment to get our wheel down it. You'd need like a tractor or something like that, or something a little more substantial than an ATV. But I know people are getting them here. I talked to a few of these folks with the fish wheels on the way in, and I know that they are running, so I'm pretty hopeful. All right.
I got two.
These are Amy's waders, but at least they don't leak. Go over the sandbar. Everything's mud. If I could get over to the other side of this thing. Okay, well there is a big slow-moving eddy right in there, and I bet you would get some fish there for sure. The only trouble is this little, what looks like a sandbar is actually quicksand. This bay goes up to your waist in mud, so I'm not going to risk going out there. That's the thing about Alaska. A lot of these things look solid. They're not solid. Once you break the surface tension of it, you'll sink right up to your waist, and there's a lot of mud rescues and people that die fishing rivers up here by mud, and that's something a lot of people don't think about, is the mud killing you, but the mud in Alaska definitely can kill you. So I'm gonna go roll my net on the shore over here and see if I can get any fish that way. If not, I'm gonna go check out a few more of these fish wheel spots on the way back to the cabin. There's almost like a little eddy there, and I think if you're willing to stand here all night, you might get one or two, but I'm definitely not willing to stand here all night for one or two fish, so I'm gonna head back, check out a few more of these wheel spots.
Really cool. You can tell there is a wolf pack on here. One of the neat things about these sandbars, you can see all the wild game that's been up and about. We got some really big prints next to little itty bitty ones, so they have pups.
Wow, that's a big wolf. There's caribou prints right here, so if I was a betting person, I'd say these wolves were following this caribou for sure. I'm not really sure why this metal turns your hand this color, but it does. So there's a lot of little micro eddies here, and I bet if you were willing to stand here long enough, you'd probably get a fish or two, but I'm not willing to stand here that long, so we're gonna get going.
Yeah,
That was really dangerous, right in there. It's deceiving too. It feels solid. Like even here, all this is really nice for a fish wheel. As long as you get them, you know, they'll come right in here. Okay, there's an old abandoned fish camp here. It looks like no one's been here in a really long time. I think we're gonna commandeer that spot. There's lots of wild berries here. There's a nice spot to camp, set up our tent to make a fire. Yeah, I think it's just as good a spot as any, and it's not as far to get to. Wow, look at all the berries here. Lots of berries, a good spot to launch, and not too bad to get to. So let's check it out. This thing's pretty punky and soft, but I might try to fix this thing up and throw a new tarp over the roof and clean up around here a little bit, and this will function just fine, I think. Nice place to cut fish. I'm excited to get this down here. Let's see what else we got. Some good anchoring points for the wheel itself. We'll put some 2x12s and we'll slide it in right here. This will be where she sits. Well, cool spot. I'm excited to fix this spot up. I think I'm going to throw my net in the water here, kind of roll it down the beach and see if I get anything just for fun. So the basic idea when dip netting these rivers is you want your net to flow upriver. So you want to be out of the direct current and in some form of back current. But you can fish in direct current by using your net kind of like a fish wheel, so you can kind of spin it down the shore, and occasionally you'll feel the fish hit it and you can yank it on in. So it's a lot more work though than just holding your net in a back current, because you got to walk back and forth with the river. So I'm going to try it here. I'm not too hopeful, but I'm just doing it for fun. Okay, no luck, but it's getting pretty late, so we're gonna head home and get some rest, start in on the fish wheel in the AM. Really good. So this is a dry fish we did on the channel about a month ago with our neighbor Jamie. It's just been sitting in our house on these little wood racks, and then we moved it out here into the smoker now that nothing's in there, and it's just sitting here outside. There's no refrigeration required. You don't have to jar it, and it's, you know, perfectly good to eat. That's really the great thing to this method, is that you can just let it sit there. And a lot of people will do this with moose and other game animals too. You can just dry the meat or just hang the meat, and this is something I never would have dreamt of doing if you would have talked to me like 7 years ago, you know, just letting meat sit out like this and then just eating it. But yeah, you can, and it's good. It is a beautiful night. On nights like this, it's really hard to go in the house. You just kind of want to soak it up because it won't be long before it's really cold, but it's getting really late, so we're gonna call it a night and start in fresh on this wheel in the morning.
Big.
Today is hopefully going to be the final day working on this thing. I just have a few things left to do. We're going to mount that pipe on the inside. I'm gonna get these winches up here, throw a few carriage bolts in, we'll make some paddles for it, and that will be that. Then we'll disassemble it, start loading it on the trailer and getting it down to our spot on the river. Not as heavy as you would think it would be. These we can, you know, whiz off the sides, but just to support it for now. What kind of currents are they? Are they black or red, Lane? Black. Black currents? Cut it a little close on these though, for sure, huh? Well, I got 3 in and 5 more to go, but it's killing all my drill batteries, so I'm going to take a minute and try to get this winch cable on these winches and see what I can put in there for a block while my batteries charge. Okay, there we go. I got a few carriage bolts hammered in there. The next thing I'm going to do is cut some of this 4x4 post. I'm going to mount my boat trailer winch to it. I'm going to stick it up in here, throw a few carriage bolts through it, and get our winch cable on. We'll pick up from right here on this wheel, and we'll get it up and centered on there, and we're getting pretty close to done there. And then really all you got to do after that is disassemble it and haul it down to the river. 2.5 feet. These little mosquitoes are brutal, huh? So a lot of folks asked if I had a background in the trades, and the answer to that question is yes and no. I grew up in southern New Hampshire, and a lot of my friends had garages and race teams, and I spent my weekdays after school working at the garages, and then my weekends working on the race teams, and it kept me out of trouble when I was a teenager. And then after Amy and I had met, I got into commercial fishing, and I learned a lot in both places. And then later thereafter, we moved up to the western part of Maine. We bought raw land, and when you're doing things out of pocket, you tend to do a lot of things yourself, and we learned quite a bit there as well. So yeah, pretty diverse backgrounds Amy and I have. Carriage bolts on, but okay, well, before I go ahead and bolt this in, I'm gonna see where the cable actually picks up on this wheel. I don't have too much room, so if the wheel shifts too far to the back or if it shifts too far to the front, I'll hit the the boards that connect the pontoon, so I really need to keep this wheel as center as possible, and it's just good to have the weight centered on these things. So I'm gonna leave this in here loose. I'll get the cable on it. I'll get the other side mounted, I'll get the cable on it, and then I'll play around with them. I'm not sure if the cable is gonna pick up directly in the center or if the weight will be picked up sort of off to the side. So I guess it doesn't matter too much because I'm gonna have it hard bolted to these posts, but we'll get it as close as possible. So this is the first fish wheel I've ever built, and I'm certain it won't be the last. And I've learned a lot building this one, and the next one will go a lot easier and probably be a lot better. I think this thing is gonna do the trick. It's starting to feel fishy. Well, that one goes just right up in there. Okay, got some cable. I'm gonna string it on. That's picking up on it right there. The ground's just crooked. We're wheeling. Okay, there we go. We got a fish wheel. The next thing we have to do is take it all apart, bring it down to the river. We'll do some finalizing of it down there. I appreciate everyone's input on this thing. It really helped me get it together, and hopefully we get some fish with it.
Hey guys, this is Amy and Dennis from Holdfast, Alaska. We are a small family living in the eastern interior, building a subsistence homestead.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed that video, and we'll see you on the next one.